All righty. Good evening, everyone. It is April 29th, Duke Ellington's birthday. This is the C committee meeting, and the time is 6 minutes after 6. We do have a quorum, so we can move forward with our agenda. Uh, is it in the chat? I know I looked at it.
Yes, one moment. I'm putting it in
Okay.
right now. It's like having a weird copying issue.
No problem. And there are delays on my side. While that's coming up, it's good to see everyone. Hope everyone is having a good rainy day. So it looks like we have a couple of things to discuss. Some of these things are carry over from our previous meeting, and then we'll get to new business. So right now we are, wow, I'm popular this evening. Right now, we are scheduled to revisit recommendations to public safety from SR 2213, Eric's ID law, the convening, which we are excited about, SBOE youth convening, the school trailers letter update from Representative Goulet, and then also chaperone policy changes. That's also from Representative Goulet. And then we should discuss the work plan for this committee. Any new, oh, that's right, and can't forget about the kindergarten discussion. So Representative Goulet has a couple of things here already on the agenda, and then we'll get to new business. Is there a motion to accept this agenda?
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. I was waiting on you. All right. So, in the honor of Kennedy, I'm sorry, Duke Ellington, as I said, let's get on this A train and get this meeting moving along. So, let's start with it looks like Representative Thompson was speaking with you all, but had to drop off. Is that correct? Was there any action items that she requested before she dropped off? No.
The point of clarification, what is the SR 2213 on here, the recommendation related to public safety?
So it's already a resolution that passed. We were supposed to discuss this, I think, a meeting ago or two, actually 2 meetings ago. One representative, Thompson, could not join us. And then the second one, we didn't have a meeting because we didn't have quorum, if you recall that.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that we are reviewing to see how we have progressed since 2013 on the action items. And I'm sure Dr. Fleischer would drop it again, but we've looked at it a couple of times in preparation for this meeting.
Okay, great.
Yeah, what I remember about it, and it doesn't hurt to read it again, but it sounds like reasonable recommendations for us in terms of public safety, specifically as it relates to our youth. And some of that, I'm sure, will still speak to some of the things that we see now as it relates to the student curfews.
Okay, so would this be then presented by Dr. Fleischer, this first item then?
No, I thought that this was for Representative Thompson to discuss with us. Like I said, I saw her on the meeting here, so I'm not sure what transpired. If it was a bad connection or she's going to circle back. Can someone fill me in on what I
Yeah.
missed?
I thought she was going to be here to discuss the Eric's ID law resolution.
Got it. She also proposed this as well, so both of these items were hers.
Okay. Then without objection, I'd like to move a motion to move these to the end of the agenda so that we can have Representative Thompson join us at that time when her connection is restored. So moved.
And so was that was the issue? It was a poor connection. So she
Yes.
will be back. Okay, got it. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Yes, and I'll go ahead and second that so we can jump into, oh, well, youth convening. I believe that is Representative Best, his baby. Is he on the call to join us, or does anyone else have updates that they can share?
I'm
He
excited.
texted in the committee
Yeah.
group chat that he'd be here in a couple minutes.
Okay. I'm sorry, you all. My day has been busy as well. We are testing citywide, so I'm sure that Representative Chamberlain can attest to this, that testing can throw your days off.
Well, Madam Chair, I'd like to then move at this time a motion to move the SBOE convening update agenda item to after new business, but before the items with Representative Thompson to give Representative Best a chance to join us.
I will agree with that. I'll second that motion. So that comes to you and your agenda items. Are you
Okay.
ready to speak about everything?
I am. And just moments ago, I passed around two documents. I apologize. My laptop's hard drive has crashed, so I'm kind of piecing this together from multiple, like an old computer and then my phone. So I sent a bullet pointed document with three letters that we are actually considering. So this will cover the school nurse letter, which is right. It has been kind of in purgatory before the working session was voted out of C. I think even before you became chair. We got to get that one out. And then the two facilities, the facilities issue with DGS and DCPS, and then the DCPS chaperone policy involving DCPS. So I'll go through the three questions in each of them that we're posing, and see if members think those are the right questions, if we need to change them, and then we'll get the formal letters ready for the working session and the full board to review. So it related to the school nurses with DC Health. I don't know if Darren, you can bring this up on the screen for people to see or not.
What did you want me to bring up?
The letter, the three letters for the May working session document.
Okay, let me take a look.
And these are all issues. I don't know that we need to formally vote out of committee, but they were issues that I had wanted to discuss in committee and then get letters for board members who are interested to sign on to. So I appreciate the time and patience on these. So while Dr. Fleischer is getting that up, I'll explain what the asks are on the school nurse letter. Is to get the number of full-time RNs, LPNs, and health techs and allied health professionals that are either employed by DCPS or charter schools. We want to get the final numbers for school years 24-25. We'd gotten the initial numbers on that before. We want to get the current numbers for school year 25-26. And then we want to get the number of positions that are budgeted for each of those types of nurses in school year 26-27. We would ask for, like we did before, the current coverage patterns of the cluster model to see how that's staffed, at present. And then just get a listing of the current RNs, LPNs, and health techs assigned to each of the schools, which would be both DCPS and charters, so that we have that information. I think Brandon says he's in the room. So that would be everything that we would be requesting of DC Health there. I'm open to additional suggestions, though, of things that, others believe would be helpful in determining whether we have adequate school nurse coverage. I can move on to the second issue here as well, and then just take questions, I guess, at the end. So then the facilities issues, which would be a letter sent to DGS and DCPS, both agencies, but probably would be answered by DGS. The first one is trailers. We would look for the current use of the trailer, the type of use, which could be classroom or office space, then the square footage of each individual type of use, the duration of the use, so when the trailers began use, and then the anticipated date of removal of the trailer, which may be for some indefinite or no planned date. We would then ask about the issue of whether there are any interested students unable to attend pre-K 3 or pre-K 4. This would be due to space constraints. And if so, how many additional classrooms or student seats are required to provide access for all eligible in-boundary students? This issue is particularly a problem in my ward, but it also affects wards 4 and ward 2, with Lafayette and Ross having no pre-K 3. There may be other wards which have schools that have restrictions or wait lists for pre-K 3, and this will help determine which schools those are. I mean, the purpose of this would be to try to get an understanding of the space needs that are still out there, and then work with the incoming administration's transition team on trying to get that space included in our school so that we have finally realized the goal of universal pre-K in DC. Then the third issue involves special education physical capacity, whether the schools have the physical space for in-boundary students to be educated in an inclusive setting. And this is a bit of a tricky issue because what we want to make sure of is you're not going to maybe have every elementary school be able to address the high need students. Like if you have level 4 students, there may have to be a workaround where they're educated at a nearby uh, DCPS elementary school, but there should be, uh, in the district, a commitment to having all of our students that don't have, extraordinary needs that have to be done in non-public placements to be able to have an inclusive education here in our public school system. So this just asks about whether there are additional space needs to educate students in an inclusive environment. So those are the first two issues. The third issue is the DCPS chaperone policy. And we discussed this with Executive Director Butler, and she recommended going the letter route on this versus the resolution initially, which I support. The first question we would have is just asking to have DCPS detail all of the recent changes that were made to the DCPS chaperone policy. And we only can see what's currently the policy, but we can't see what it was previously. So having that would be helpful. I'm aware of some of the changes, but there may be others. The second would be asking DCPS to, their rationale for deciding to no longer allow parents who have passed a district-approved criminal background check to serve as chaperones on overnight trips. This is, particularly an issue for some of the student groups that rely on parent volunteers to be able to help meet that chaperone number that are required for field trips. And I don't think it makes sense to burden DCPS staff with having to, in addition to all their current duties, also have to go staff field trips. And I know this probably originated from the Office of Risk Management, but I don't think it is a step in the right direction. And then just asking DCPS how their chaperone policy aligns with the majority of comparable jurisdictions. So those would be the three questions in that letter. So these would be the three letters, with the substantive questions that we would be asking. We got to obviously, shine these up with a, intro clause, all that on it. But this is the substance of each of the three letters. So I'm willing to take questions or open the floor for discussion on these. If that's okay with you, Madam Chair.
That's perfectly fine. Welcome, Representative Best, and welcome back, Representative Thompson. Dr. Fletcher, can you scroll back up so I can see the top of that? And if anyone has questions, feel free to jump in. I just want to read the portion at the top again. Representative Goulet, so please repeat for me. I'm sure you already said this. So with the school nurse, this is not a resolution. This is us revisiting the resolution that was already passed, correct? We're just asking
Yes.
for updated data.
Yes, so this is just a data request at this
Mhm.
time. We have passed a resolution calling for the implementation and additional budgeting of funds to ensure that eventually every public and public charter school in the district has a full-time RN as their school
Mhm.
nurse. And there's currently a nurse shortage in DC.
Mhm.
The gap has been filled with LPNs and health techs, and neither of those professionals can actually practice in DC under their own license as a school nurse. They have to be covered through what's called the cluster model.
Mhm.
And we had a lot of testimony from parents and students that expressed concern about the qualifications of these individuals and about the fact that they seem to have a revolving door of staffing at the schools. So
Yeah.
after we introduced that legislation and resolution, uh, we received calls from nurses who were at that time employed by Children's, just thanking us for doing it, and expressing concerns about low pay, expressing concerns about the qualifications of the people they were being asked to supervise remotely, and then lastly, just expressing concern about how the cluster model kind of devalues why they got into school nursing in the first place, which is to have a school community that they get to know and work with in a setting versus kind of traveling around almost as an EMT addressing issues. So, we may find that the data has stabilized. This became a huge concern last year because there was a drop of nearly 50% in a single year of the number of RNs from school year 24 to 25 going to school year 25-26. We saw a loss of 50% of our RNs, and largely due to the cluster model. So Dr. Fleischer's working on this issue. I think he drafted the first letter on this. So this would just be to update that and get the data for the board so we could decide what the next steps are.
Okay, sounds good. I don't have any questions. I think it's good practice when we follow up on the resolutions to see how implementation is going, check on data, and see if there's additional work. So thank you for elevating this in all three of these areas. Are there any other questions from members of the committee or even from our guest, Representative Thompson? All right, seeing none, I'm going to say let's move on to the next item on our agenda. I know we switched some things around. Dr. Fleischer, if you can bring it back up for me, that would be helpful. But I think we put Representative Thompson back on and then Representative Best. That's correct. All right, great. Representative Thompson, welcome back. We're happy to have you. And if memory serves me, we're talking about two items today, Eric's Law or Eric's ID, but first, revisiting a resolution for 2013. If you don't mind, can you start there with the public safety resolution, please?
So, and we have the resolution for the board, and I believe Dr. Fleischer was kind enough to share it with the committee, essentially prescribing certain recommendations. I will put them in the bucket of coordination and collaboration to do a better job of ensuring our students are safe. We came up with these solutions after consulting several experts and had a panel where they gave us specific prescriptions. One of the things written into that resolution was that we would revisit in about a year, which we did do, but we should continue, I think, to revisit because it's not like safety isn't an ongoing priority for our city or for our young people. In addition, not all of the resolved clauses have been achieved. And so I am bringing back up how we can continue to work with the current board to achieve these and other solutions.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. I'm sorry, one second. Okay, so my question to you, and paraphrasing you, everything does not have to be done through a public hearing, and I say that with fondness because I agree with you. With this, is there a specific way that you recommend that we revisit this? Is this collection of additional data, or is this just, I'm throwing it back to you, how should we move forward with revisiting this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is something that has to be like our next public meeting topic. I would imagine at some point that might be helpful, but I also imagine that some of the other activities from the C committee, like the youth town hall or other things, also relate to this because it is not, again, it is a continued priority. And so I think one of the reasons it's helpful to have a conversation with the committee is based on the things listed, and then based on the activities you all have and updated information, where I guess is there alignment? Where should are there places where there might need to be realignment, and how can we I guess build on supplement not supplant kind of efforts.
Okay.
And so I don't have a strong point of view yet on what the activities are, mostly because I have not followed closely all of what the C committee is doing, but I know enough to know that this is something that's come up both in your committee and with the SAC as a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Representative Goulet.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Thompson, for that really helpful kind of analysis of that history on that resolution. I think this is really timely that we were able to review this today, and I'm excited that we're going to have the youth convening coming up where we hear from our students, empower their voice, hear their perspective, and then, as part of the work plan, trying to make recommendations for safety and supports for our youth out of committee, for the fall. So I think this gives us a great starting point of things the board's already looked at that we can incorporate into that after hearing from our students. And then I think our goal was, in the fall to be able to put forward a report, a resolution, or recommendations in some form on how to improve safety and supports in our schools that will then be utilized by the incoming mayor and their transition team. So I think this is a really great starting point, and I wouldn't have known that it was out there if Representative Thompson hadn't raised it. So I just want to thank you both for getting us started on this, and I think this will be really helpful as we move into the summer and then put those recommendations forward in the fall.
Anyone else?
No, I was just going to say thank you, Representative Goulet, and that's helpful to me because it gives me a sense of you all's timeline and next steps coming out of the youth town hall, which I think is helpful and good alignment. And happy to, because I know I'll be attending that. I'm looking forward to it, and being able to infuse more student voice into this, I think is particularly helpful. So. That is helpful knowledge for me to have, which is why I came to the meeting.
I think the youth town hall will be helpful. We also have several surveys that are coming out. So one on youth violence, I believe. I could be misquoting. Please forgive me if I am. Just came out. I know that DC Says wrapped up its survey maybe a couple of weeks ago. So we could get data from that. Also, Panorama is student opinion on safety. And then there was something else. So there should be a lot of rich data that we can look at soon. I would think if we're entering May, that hopefully by August, we can get that data back and it will be helpful. And yes, we are definitely still prioritizing what we want to focus on this year and what's measurable. And these are definitely some action items that we can focus on and measure and be able to say we've improved, is plateaued or decreased, hopefully decrease if that's the right direction we want to go in. Are there any other comments or questions for Representative Thompson on this item? All right, seeing none. Representative Thompson, you're back up to talk about Eric's ID.
All right. Eric's ID is, I'm happy to just revisit, first say the idea and then note that I sent a memo a few weeks ago to the committee. But Eric's ID law is essentially some type of, I'm going to say emblem, that will be placed on all IDs, which, thank you, Representative Goulet, could include student IDs. So we're talking a state ID, driver's license, identification cards. If you have a what we call invisible disability, this is something that could be on an ID, so that if you come into contact with law enforcement, they don't expect you to act, a certain way, and you don't have to explain why you are acting a certain way. I believe that at this moment in our city, especially with the federal interference, this is particularly helpful and is a proactive way to keep many of our residents safe. I do apologize for any noise you all hear while I'm driving. I am driving safely, but that is the idea. I sent a memo via email. It has already had some success as far as implementation in Maryland, or passage, excuse me. I don't think it's implemented yet, but it's starting to be implemented in our neighboring jurisdiction of Maryland. You all have heard from both Eric and Mrs. Harper Gantham at our public meeting. And my goal is really to have a resolution that calls for this to get passage at the council level. The legislation has already been introduced by council members Lewis, George, and Parker. I do not believe it has a hearing date the last I checked, but I want to make sure it gets a hearing date. And I want to make sure it gets a hearing date sooner rather than later. And this is something that I believe we should see through for our residents. So I am coming to the committee to ask if that is something that you two will support, in hopes of having it at our next public meeting. I would have very much liked it to be on the agenda of this public meeting, or that was a marathon meeting, only because it is Autism Awareness Month. And to Representative Goulet's point earlier in the call, it is starting, hopefully, to get some movement at council, but I want to make sure that the state board's voice is part of that movement and momentum.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. Representative Chamberlain, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. I think that would be a great thing for us to support. I think it definitely fits within our responsibility to keep our students safe. I have a further question, which is that, just like to get a feel for this, would any of us be interested in speaking for, or are we allowed to go to a council hearing and speak on behalf of the C committee? Because I know that we, to be honest, have less public viewers at our public meetings than the council might. And we might be able to do more if we actually show up to the council.
Can I weigh in? Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was going to say, we always have the option as our, I guess it's individual capacity, but as in our individual elected capacity, I would say, to provide testimony. I just provided testimony in DCPS's budget hearing last week. I believe Representative Goulet also was down at the Wilson Building providing testimony. And so I think it is an and both. And think it tends to benefit us as a board and how we leverage what we have passed. And when we need to do some active advocacy, I think that my hope is we pass this resolution so that as we go down and we advocate in front of the council, we will be able to say the board has taken this position as we go and we do that.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies for me.
Representative Goulet?
Yeah, and just to add to what Representative Thompson said on this, in response to Representative Chamberlain's point, if we approve a resolution through the board to support a piece of legislation, then we can actually testify not just in our individual capacities, but as the board's official position on a measure. So that's another reason why I support moving this forward today in committee. I support having it on the working session agenda and then on the public meeting in May, because I think it's going to be really important for us to be able to speak as a body through our resolution and then testify in support of this at council. And the only thing I've asked, I know Representative Thompson's supportive of this too, is that we put in our support for this request for an amendment to include student IDs on it, so that that amendment could then be moved at markup by council. And we've done something similar. It was actually at the request of Representative Chamberlain to request an amendment before council on the use of student laptops, on the cell phone issue. So I'm excited, really excited for this. I thank Representative Thompson for bringing it forward. I just would like to lastly, though, address an issue that it was Representative Johnson Law raised at the working session, uh, just so that we can say we discussed it here in committee. And her issue was, I think she's trying to pursue something that's in Councilmember Henderson's committee, I believe. And the issue involved trying to ensure that there's an ID for all school students, up to a certain age. And I think that's a worthy endeavor. I'd like to keep that issue, though, separate from this issue for the following reason. Is that's going to have a fiscal impact, whereas I think this would have a minimal fiscal impact. And if that moves forward later of having that universal ID, if this is in place, that would just be included in this action. So I think what Representative Johnson Law is proposing is important. I just don't think it necessarily fits into what we're doing here. And it might actually, if the two items were included together, it might then require additional funds for the effort. So I think that's a separate issue, but I'm also supportive of that as well.
Interesting that you raised that, because I was thinking about that, but I had a different thought. First, let me say that I am completely in support of this. And I was considering, if we added something else, would it slow the process, which is not something that I want to do. But I am concerned that while we are putting an emblem on IDs for students, I think we've overlooked that some students just don't have IDs. And specifically for students who are experiencing homelessness, getting the documentation needed to get the ID can be very difficult. And going back to us being concerned about the safety of our students completely during, especially during this era that we're in as a city, I think is incredibly vital for all of our students to be able to identify themselves. So if it's possible that while we're championing Eric's ID, that we also champion that students have IDs, period. I think that would be great. But like I said, if it causes this train to slow, then I wouldn't want to do that, and I will be in support, but definitely had a wondering about that.
Yeah, I
Madam
mean,
Chair, go ahead.
I would say, I do recognize that as a issue. I think you're absolutely right. I think as we construct the resolution, it's something that we can raise in the resolution, saying we want to make sure that folks have ID. Folks have IDs. There are real barriers to students who are homeless, and some students, and I understand that there's a range within that. Like, some people don't even consider themselves homeless, but they're couch surfing and all the different things. I don't see it as a barrier to note that is a particular population that is likely coming probably into more contact with law enforcement, and we support and we urge, access and addressing some of the things we have going on. I can imagine that could be a clause or something in the resolution. I don't think that slows things down, because we're not necessarily asking for a change in how things, as I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we're asking for something new. We are asking for more effectiveness with the systems that we already have. And if that's the case, I think that can be addressed in the same place. And I do think would also require further advocacy outside of just the Eric's ID law. I would note that Eric's ID is inclusive of adults with disabilities as well. And so it is students, it would be young people, but it is anyone who has a state ID and would have an invisible disability would be able to choose. And I will note that it is opt-in. Like you don't, if you're someone who says, I don't want that to be a way I am identified, it is not required. But it is something that you, just like you can say, hey, I want to be an organ donor.
Yeah.
And that's on the ID card. So I just want to clarify those things.
Okay, thank you. Well, I look forward to this resolution and giving input as well. I think it's definitely something that the C committee will support, and I think the entire board should be in support of this. If there are no other questions for Representative Thompson, I'm going to thank her, and we thank you, Representative Thompson. If you want to stay on, you're more than welcome, but we'll give you your evening back to you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
point of clarification here. With this issue, since it was, I think, unlike the letters which originated from the committee and we discussed here, and we're just then the board's moving forward. I think with this, since it was referred to committee, we would have to then vote the issue out to consider it at the working session. But I'd ask Dr. Fleischer for clarification on both the letters and on this.
Yes, that's correct. So we would vote this out, discuss it more at the working session, begin drafting, and then the draft would be voted out from the C committee to the June working session. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Um,
Yeah, I was hoping for a faster timeline, Dr.
No,
Fleischer.
that does
Yeah.
not make sense. I think what I'm asking is to vote it out of committee. Like we've had the discussion.
mhm.
We can and say the committee, the committee has given their feedback on this issue. We can, Darren and I can draft a resolution. We can have this discussion for a resolution at the working session, which is in May.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
I would prefer
draft,
that
Why would I
approach.
come back? Why would I come back to the committee again? Why would I not get input from the board? Because if let me say this, I'm processing out loud. The resolution itself will reflect the points in the memo that was sent to the committee. In addition to the points that were discussed, what was content-wise, what was added by the committee, which was raising some of the issues around students in particular who cannot access IDs, like homeless students. And so if we are on the same page with the content, I don't understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, the committee, I see that as the committee has given its input on what should be included, and then the whole board would get feedback on the exact language.
Yeah.
Is that not, I could be crazy, but.
No.
So my pause was trying to listen to what you all were saying and then also referring back to my experience with what just happened last month with the resolution. So I thought the resolution was developed and discussed in the committee. And then once we got it to a point, then it was voted out. And then there was feedback from the entire board. And Representative Thompson, are you saying that's incorrect? Are you going to draft the resolution outside of the committee?
I'm not saying it's incorrect. I think I'm more so saying we have flexibility in like how we get feedback and how we move stuff forward. So, I will say, I unfortunately was double booked for the working session because I had something in Ward 7, and so I was a bit surprised that it was referred to the committee, and I didn't know what we were discussing. So then I was told that we were then discussing a matter of content, which was should we add the issue Representative Johnson Law brought up, and how should that be added? Which is why I drafted a memo and sent it to you all, so we could have the discussion around that. And so I thought, and I'm not saying it always looks exactly the same, but I thought that was the reason it was referred to the committee, not that I needed to bring the full resolution to committee in order for it to be considered before the board.
Got it.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, if I may comment on that.
But it is,
Please.
oh, sorry, I was going to say, but it is also up to you all as a committee on when you deem it ready to go to the full board. I'm just sharing my understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, we have gone kind of both directions on that. I think it really depends on the substance of the resolution. But with the very thorough memo that we got from Representative Thompson earlier, and the fact that this is really just supporting legislation that's already been introduced with a few, minor, other provisos that we've already discussed. I'm very comfortable, supporting advancing this out of committee right now, so that it can be considered as a resolution at the working session, so we keep it on track for having a vote in May, because I think it very well could come before council with a hearing, and I want to be able to, when that happens, have the board be able to say we passed a resolution, and that we testify on behalf of the board, not just on behalf of individual members. So, given the fact that we have the resolution and the fact that this is really a supporting something rather than like a policy, uh, discussion here that's in detail, I would support a motion, and I'll move it right now, to advance this to the working session as a resolution. So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Sounds like the ayes have it.
Okay, just for clarification, so we would then build out what's been written in a resolution for like a draft resolution format to bring to the working session.
In keeping with the discussions here, and Dr. Fleischer, do you mind if you keep the committee members like looped in to that, like in the as you draft it with the chair and draft it with Representative Thompson?
Yes, I'll bring this to my team tomorrow and just update them as well. Because usually when it comes to assignments, I work with my team before just fully committing to that. But thank
Of
you
course.
all. And yes, I think that definitely clarified things. Um, and
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. And everyone, thank you for, I just learned something new. So Dr. Fleischer, as much as you need, please keep us all abreast and we'll chime in to get this done quickly and ready for the working session.
yeah, one more point while we still have
Clarification.
you,
Yes.
Representative Thompson. If this moves forward past the working session, the resolution, then it would be brought to the Student Advisory Committee, or at least a member would bring it on your behalf. Nope. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we have Representative Chamberlain on, so we'll hope that her support continues through the SAC presentation of it.
Mm.
Unless we lost, did we lose Representative Chamberlain? Is she still here? I can't see anything
No.
on
No,
the
I'm
screen.
up in here. Don't worry. My ears are open.
Oh, good.
She's here, and it looks like Representative Thompson is back too.
Okay, good. Well, that's good news. Okay.
But I think we're good on that, correct? Yes? All right.
Yes.
All right. Representative Best, welcome. You are up next, I believe. We are eager to hear updates on the Youth Summit.
Yeah, I actually don't have too many updates that I want to share. Last week was a rough one for me. And so I do know that we have a meeting tomorrow with MICFA Challenge. I would actually love it if someone else could also attend that meeting to kind of also get an understanding of what's going on and what's happening as well. I can share that, the dates, I mean, the time of that. Hold on one second.
Yeah, what you said tomorrow. Yes,
Yeah,
what the
tomorrow
time?
at 2 p.m. I'll
It's the
forward
two.
it.
I
Yeah.
can't do two. Yeah.
For some reason, I think I have something at 2, but maybe it was this on the schedule.
You know what? I don't see you here, Eric.
Okay, so can you send it to me and I will try to attend? I gotta,
Okay.
my schedule is in like three different places because of my loss of my computer. So uh,
Yeah.
I can let you know whether I can make it tomorrow or not.
I know for sure that I will be able to make that one. Uh,
Okay.
but the others were a lot more difficult for me to make. Also, I know we're all we're all working during the day. And so Darren will probably have more updates than I do.
Yes, Darren.
Yeah, th thank you, Representative Best. Just a few quick updates. I know Andrew Roof, our public information officer, is the lead staffer on this. They've been working a lot around getting the word out, getting decision makers from across the district to attend this meeting. On my side, I've sent out emails to that student advisory committee with updated flyers on just like exactly what this event is going to be, prizes that will be available to students attending, as well as potential tabling. I know that different organizations will be able to come and table similar to other events that happen in the city. But the SAC tabling and showcasing what the SAC is and just getting applicants for uh, next year's SAC. So they've been. I sent that email out this morning. Try to get. They'll try to register and get the word out to their friends for the May 13th event. One other item that I wanted to raise, though, just in case I forget, is May 13th falls on our May C committee meeting. So we'll need to move the C committee as well. So I can touch base with you, Representative Colson, and the rest of the members offline to reschedule that, if that's okay with you.
Keep bumping our meetings. Sure, that's
Um,
fine.
I'll send it over to you. But just a quick question: will all the C committee members be available to attend that youth summit?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Great.
I unfortunately don't think I can go to the meeting tomorrow though because it's my senior prom and we have photos in the afternoon.
I
That's
think
Sorry.
yeah, we need you there for the main
Um,
event, not for tomorrow necessarily, I think.
okay.
Woo,
But
prom
but have fun
season.
at your prom. That's exciting.
I'll email you guys a photo if you're lucky.
Uh,
Ooh. All right, sounds good.
But yeah, I'll make sure that everybody is included on that invite and at the working session, yeah, if each member can certainly get the word out. I think you all have flyers in your inboxes to share with principals and just families in your wards, but you should be getting more information from uh Andrew this week if you haven't already.
Okay,
Oh,
sounds good.
And I
Terrific.
know this topic might come up again during the work planning discussion for this meeting, but that is everything on my end.
All right. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Representative Best as well. All right. Um, Next item, are we down to new business?
Yes, and that would include the kindergarten discussion, if that would be correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, that doesn't seem new to me, but yes, we
Are
definitely
you
want to
sure?
discuss it.
I don't think we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. This is the
Well,
first time I've heard about it. Representative Goulet, please educate us, give us updates. Where are we with that?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So
Mhm.
where we are with the kindergarten update is, last we acted on this, the board had introduced emergency legislation to try to give a 2-year waiver to parents that were impacted by the sudden change in enrollment policy in kindergarten, just so that nobody would no student would be left out of being able to have the opportunity to attend kindergarten. Unfortunately, council didn't act on that. They prepared what they thought was a good compromise with DCPS, which was to have the children do assessment tests before the year began. All of the students failed the proficiency test for first grade, and unfortunately, though, only 2 of them were given waivers to stay in kindergarten. And those were both students that DCPS had already approved uh, previously to the change in policy. So some of the students went to private school. Some have enrolled in public schools outside of DC, which they have to then pay for. I mean, the whole situation is incredibly disappointing. Now, what I'm trying to do in this resolution and the accompanying legislation is not rehash all of that. That was a very contentious discussion, and I frankly still don't understand why some of the actions were taken that were. So, what I've tried to focus on is how we move forward with actually getting DC's kindergarten policy in line with other jurisdictions. Because right now we have a kindergarten policy that no other state in the United States of America has in terms of flexibility. I'll be glad to circulate again if members need it again. The chart I circulated last time of the cutoffs in all the 50 states that are out there. The policy in Maryland is a policy that's a month ahead of ours, so their cutoff is August 31st. Ours is September 30th. Virginia's is also September 30th, but Virginia will allow a 1-year waiver for any reason whatsoever. The parent doesn't even need to give one, they just need to ask for it, basically. So if a parent sends a note and says, I want to hold my kid back a year from kindergarten, they automatically get it. I don't think a policy that loose is going to be supported here in DC. I think we want to do something similar to what Maryland does, but maybe even more restricted. So what Maryland does is they allow a 1-year deferral, but what they require is for the student to be enrolled in pre-K 4 if they're going to do that in an approved pre-K 4 program. So not just like a junk one. This is what Representative Best and I talked about having an academic-based pre-K that the students are enrolled in, and that's what Maryland requires if you're going to defer. So what I'm proposing in this resolution and the accompanying legislation is the following policy. Now, this policy will still be the strictest in the country for kindergarten by far, but it will address, I think, the most serious issues that have been raised by the parents, which are basically that we are taking kids who haven't even turned 5 years old yet, who have developmental delays, and are basically pushing them into IEPs because they're just not ready for kindergarten yet. So I think this addresses all the legitimate concerns that have been raised by DCPS as well. So what this policy would allow is any student with a birthday where they turn 5 years old between June 16th and September 30th to be allowed a 1-year deferral from kindergarten if and only if they are enrolled in a academic-based pre-K 4 program. Now, it wouldn't have to necessarily be in DC, it could be in Maryland, but this would kind of really cover both of those concerns and would make sure that we don't push kids who just have developmental delays onto IEP. So that's the first element of it. The only other exception to that would be, like on the truancy side, is if a family moves in from out of state after our school year begins, they would also have that exception from truancy and wouldn't need to enroll the kid in pre-K 4. And I'll give you a specific example of this that occurred last year. So the issue that occurred last year is in Florida. We had a family, Florida's cutoff is August 15th. We had a family move in where a student had a September birthday. So they turned 5 after Florida's cutoff. They weren't eligible for kindergarten in the state of Florida. So when they moved into DC, like I think it was in around March, they moved in. I mean, they were threatened with a truancy violation and child neglect because they didn't go enroll their student in kindergarten at that point. Now, this child had not been in compulsory education yet. Uh, like in the past, when we were being reasonable in the city, what we would have said to that family is, we are excited you want to enroll in kindergarten next year. Your student actually here in DC, unlike Florida, would have the option to enroll in first grade. So we would give that family the choice instead of threatening them with a child and family services neglect finding. So if a child falls into that narrow category where they have the birthday between June 16th and September 30th, and they move into DC after the school year begins, like they're not required to go scramble around and find a pre-K program to enroll their child in, like in March or April, uh, because that would be crazy, and we wouldn't, in any logical sense, consider that child truant, particularly as they then enroll in kindergarten the next year. So like that just it should be common sense. Uh, and really that's all it is. So this is keeping the kindergarten age band in the circulated resolution that I've sent around to just 15 and a half months, which is the narrowest age band in the entire country for exceptions for kindergarten. A lot of states would probably, and parents would be mad at me for proposing something like this, because they would say that I am being too strict. But I think this is the only compromise we can get through with DCPS. And it also addresses a concern they raised about not having 19-year-olds participating in high school sports. Because under this proposal, with June 15th, even if there's a few days left of school, the interscholastic sports season is done at that point. So there would be no 19-year-olds, you know, playing in those sports unless they were delayed a year. But it wouldn't be because of this, because their birthday would be June 16th or later, if that makes sense. So I think we've addressed all of the reasonable concerns of DCPS. I am worried that this, if we get like somebody who's connected coming in from Maryland or something into DC, and their child is uh, put through the ringer like some of these families were, we're going to end up with Congress getting involved in this policy. And it just doesn't make sense what DCPS has done. So what I'm proposing here with the resolution, and then uh, the legislation that would mirror it, is simply to bring our policy into, uh, I wouldn't want to say alignment with other states, because we still would have the most strict in the country, but I guess into alignment with common sense and with what most child development experts recommend. So, with that said, I move it to the floor, and I'm here to answer any questions the committee members may have.
I just want to say thank you for, the work and effort that you have been putting forth on this issue, as well as the ability or the rationale to try to strike some type of a compromise. I do think that, we've been talking about this issue. And I see your question too, about the burden of proof, Representative Colson. So, um, I do want us to figure out like what this answer is, and I am 100% behind trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm having a little trouble following here because I'm on my phone. Representative Colson, I think Representative Best mentioned you had a question on burden of proof.
Yeah, my question, you mentioned the exception would be if they are attending an academic-based pre-K4 program. And I'm just wondering, how would that be defined? Who determines that? And would that become the burden of the parents to somehow prove that their child is attending an academic base to receive that exemption?
I think oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Representative
Yeah,
Best. You
yeah,
can go first. Well, I would just say that if it's licensed by OSSI for pre-K4, pre-K3, pre-K4 services, it should meet that definition. Similarly, if it's licensed by Maryland for those services, or Virginia, it would meet that definition. What I'm trying to avoid with this, and I think I don't want to speak for Representative Best, but I think what he was concerned about too, is just having somebody who has a child care sign up on their door, running like child care out of a home or something, and then saying that counts as pre-K. In my mind, that doesn't. I don't want to have just, somebody has kids playing at the house, count towards meeting the requirement for academic-based pre-K, because we do want to make sure the students are then ready, for kindergarten the next year. So, Representative Best, I don't know if that answers your question or Representative Colson's question.
Yeah, no, it does. And that was one of the that was one of the things that we discussed earlier. What represents the academic base versus these play-based programs. And so one of the challenges we were thinking about was like the equity issue, where some people are just like sending people to like play-based and saying, oh, well, that is an academic space, but it's not. And so that was a challenge that we were having when they were trying to get their kids into school because it was a play based, it was not academic based. And then we were saying, well, what is the difference between one of these play based daycares and someone going to their auntie's house? You know what I mean? That does all of this. And so to make it equitable, we're saying that if they're enrolled in the academic base versus the play base. And so OSSI does have like the list of like the ones that are I mean not play based, but academic based um uh uh places. Excuse me.
And what I will commit to do on this is, after, assuming we voted out a committee and then we clean it up a bit, uh, before the working session or between the working session and the vote on this is I'm happy to share it with DCPS, with OSSI, and with DME to get their comments to it. So like if OSSI, for example, on this has a specific definition they want us to use for academic-based pre-K, we can insert that definition uh, into this. I mean, our goal here, I think Representative Best and my goal was just to make sure that, if this deferral is granted, as the state of Maryland does, we're not just, doing it and then letting children who may have academic delays, just sit at someone's house and watch TV. We want them in an academic setting, getting ready for kindergarten the next year.
I hear both of you, both representatives, and I don't disagree, but I do want to acknowledge that some of those auntie-based programs um, could use a different look, a look of equity, because we don't know that auntie is not a retired teacher or principal.
Yeah.
And having that one-on-one ratio, that student could be receiving more than some of these larger programs where perhaps they're on iPads all day and they're not prepared, but they're
No,
considered academic based. So
And,
I hear you. I'm not arguing, just raising a different point.
no, I think we're actually on this exact same page.
Mhm.
I'm saying that a lot of people were trying to say because they were in one of these pre-K 4 spaces
Mhm.
that it was quote unquote academic when it wasn't. They were play-based. And so
Got it.
we're trying to say that it should be treated as if it were the same as the quote unquote auntie-based spot. And so we didn't want people to get unfair treatment. We wanted it to be equitable across the board.
Thank you for that clarification. Yes, agreed.
Okay.
and then to the committee members, Madam Chair, I'll be glad to then draft the accompanying legislation that goes with this. I certainly wanted to make sure that the committee supported the policy of it before I spent time drafting the statutory language. But it actually is a pretty simple draft of the statute, and we did most of it already with the emergency legislation. So I can just update it with the changes that I discussed here.
That was good. Are there any other questions or comments? All right. So, I'm sorry, one more time. So the question is that we're voting this out of committee? Is that the ask?
Yes, Madam Chair. So I'd move a motion at this time to
Sure.
vote the resolution and then to the working session with obviously the accompanying legislation that would be prepared and circulated probably between the working session and the vote.
Okay, similar to what we just did. Okay.
Yeah.
You made the motion. I will second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right. The ayes have it. Dr. Fleischer, do you have questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, very good. We have a reminder of what's next, which is the work plan discussion. Yes, thank you for reminding us. So I believe we touched on this previously, and we were both, or not both, all of us were on the same page about our priorities. But more specifically, we need to look at it again and ask how are we addressing, how are we measuring, rather, uh, our progress. Um, so that's the discussion that's on the floor right now. We can use some of the topics that we've discussed tonight as examples. If we put forth resolutions around the kindergarten issue, how would we measure that? Are we looking at the number of students who were denied, just throwing it out there, and then compare it from year to year? Um, that's what we need to do for each item. Is that correct, Dr. Fleischer? Each of our items on the work plan, we need to know specifically how we're going to measure success.
Maybe each or just what success might look like if we want to measure it, what that might look like for all of them, for individual ones. Um, but yeah, that this would be then raised at the working session.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go ahead,
Oh, yeah.
Representative Goulet.
Yeah, so for me on this is we just did a discussion of KPIs for the agency and the administrative committee, which are things you track over time, with data to see how the agency's performing. I think with these, a lot of them, is just whether we've gotten done what we said we're going to get done. Like with the empowering student voice, for example, like did we have the youth convening that we have coming up? Did we take that voice and that the students have given and then put it into writing and then utilize it in looking at student safety and supports? I mean, I think that checks the box if we've done all those things. Like with the issue of proposing a change to the bullying definition and making recommendations on student safety and supports. I mean, I think that would take the form of a report in the fall that would go to council. It probably would be accompanied by a resolution, uh, but it's something that would then make suggestions on how to make our schools safer and more supportive of students. And then, like if you look at the issue of kindergarten, for example, that really is just have we sent a resolution and legislation to council fixing the issue. I mean, I don't think we can hold ourselves, on these issues, like accountable for things we can't control. Like on the nurses issue, like we did basically all we could do. We proposed a resolution, we sent legislation to council with a really common sense solution on it, and it hasn't even received a hearing. So I don't think I can ding us for that. I mean, we are following up again with a letter. But I mean, it's kind of like you can lead the horse to water, and that's about all you can do. Making them drink is up to the horse. So uh, I think with these, it's just did we get done what we said we were going to get done? I don't think there's measurable data. I mean, Dr. Fleischer, I mean, what is the goal of this?
The goal would just be to better track what we're doing and know if we accomplished what we set out to do. So we have a 2026 work plan, for example. Just what would it look like to track success? Yeah. And I think what you just said, I think encapsulates a lot of that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you did give me a different perspective, Representative Goulet, because my initial answer was yes, absolutely, it should be measured to see how effective it was. But keeping in mind that we are making resolutions and then it can be delayed with council or it could be, dead on arrival, then I don't think that that's a charge that we should add to our plate for our effectiveness and what we do. So I hear what you're saying that we can just track whether or not we did what we said we were going to do, and it'd be simple as a yes or a no.
And Madam Chair, with this, I think it's interesting because with the KPIs that the agency is going to put forward at the working session, there you're tracking data over time, like a decade of time. But those KPIs really don't include the type of work we're doing here in committee, like with the strategic plan and with the committee work plan, because those are really one-time achievements. So I think, what we're doing with the dashboard will cover kind of the work in committee here. And I think I think you've got us on track to achieve those goals. I don't think we're behind schedule or anything. I think everything is set up to meet what the committee set out to do like a year and a half ago on this. So I think we're in good shape. Is my take on it.
Any other thoughts from members? Or Dr. Fleischer?
Not really. Maybe the only other thing I could raise or remind members of is, oh, Representative Goulet dropped. Do we have quorum? I don't know if we have quorum.
No,
Uh-oh. Oh, we do. Representative Best.
Best is still here. Okay.
It was I didn't see him on screen, so I didn't capture that. But yes, I think one other reminder is let me make sure that Representative Goulet can get on without me moving him in. I'll keep an eye out for
Mhm.
attendees. Is that we do have an annual report as well. And so in addition to the dashboard, um, just marking off at the end of 2026, like we were able to reach those, um, we were able to accomplish what we set out to achieve. And
Mhm.
if that's like a measurable goal of like uh how many resolutions we pass or just like how many work plan priorities we pass, that those are things that can also be raised at on the annual report as well, I believe, if we go that route.
It's 7:18. I have a question about this. We don't have to discuss
Hmm.
it now, but maybe circle back to it because I want to make sure we get out. As a new board member of this committee, and now chair, my concern is if we've set an agenda, and I really want us to meet the mark with these items, but we also receive other things to our committee. Like, how do we keep on track without uh, getting derailed by these other priorities that we receive? Everything that we're receiving to committee is important, and I want them to be addressed. But how do we maintain boundaries as a committee with what we're going to take on so that we can make sure that the end of the year, when we're looking at this report, we can say we really got everything done, as opposed to saying we had good intentions, but X, Y, and Z came up and we focused on that instead. So that's just my thought for right now. We can talk about that later. I do want to move on to new business. There are two things that I want to share, and then I don't know if anyone else has any new business. Uh, does anyone else have anything to share? I'll let you all have the floor first for new business.
I don't have any other new business, Madam Chair, but what you just said there, I'm confident you can get this done. And if things get sent to the committee that aren't priorities, we don't have to act on them. So we can they can sit in committee and wait till next year. But I have full confidence in your ability to get us to the finish line on all this. So I'm excited,
Sounds good.
but
Thank
no
you.
new business.
Thank you for that vote of confidence. Yes, Dr. Fleischer.
I do have one quick new business slash announcement that
Sure.
I received word that DC Council is moving back a roundtable with students for tomorrow instead of later in May for alternatives to teen takeovers. And so
Mm,
there will be a discussion on that. I will be listening into that, and so I can report back to the committee.
okay.
Great.
Very, very important topic. Yes, national issue, not just DC. It seems to be trending. Thank you for that. One thing I want to raise, just as a FYI, I'll put it in the tracker. I think Representative Henderson already placed it because he and I were discussing it. But parents have come to both he and I, and then additional parents have come to me about screen time. And so I'm going to put that on the tracker as a possible public hearing topic. Parents are growing increasingly concerned with the amount of time that their students are spending at school on devices. Also, as I've shared during my conversations, just elevating the iReady lawsuit. iReady is a math computer-based curriculum. And so they're under a lawsuit right now because their data is being sold according to the lawsuit. Student data is. And then the other thing that a school district across the country, I believe it was Los Angeles, has now passed, I don't know if it's where it is in this stage, but they've passed, I'll say, a resolution, if you will, to reduce the screen time of their students and to limit it altogether for students under first grade. So this is gaining traction. I know with my ward for parents, and this is something that we may want to look at. So that's just an FYI for you all. The second thing is, if you all are not aware, there is a beautiful building in Representative Goulet's ward. It was formerly the Whittle School building. To my understanding, it's been idle or empty since maybe 2021. I'm not sure, Representative. You can correct me on that date. What's what is more important to take away from this is that it is, I don't want to be dramatic, but I think I am spot on when I say it is a once in a lifetime opportunity for our students in DC to have access to that building. And for those who may raise the arguments and say, oh, where there's buildings all over the city, I cannot stress enough just the beauty, the awe, and the wonder that even Representative Goulet and I felt just walking in there in terms of feeling optimistic and hopeful about the opportunities that are possible for people who are just able to work in that space. With that said, I'm not sure how it can be done, but I want to elevate the conversation and say that this is something that we should be advocating for the city to acquire. Because not only is it a beautiful building where I just feel like it's good for mental health, just in terms of the design and the skylights and the access to views, which is right in the middle of UDC, but also so many embassies. I think seeing that, being able to experience that is great for our students and making that connection to their academic studies. As I said before, it is next door to UDC. It is prime real estate for partnerships. All of the things that we've discussed in public hearings with the health industry, the hospitality industry, all of those things, it is a prime location for students to be able to go back and forth and for professors and leaders to come over to the Whittle building and be able to teach and give our students additional support and making connections and seeing themselves and making career goals and college goals. And then the last thing that I will try to say, because I can go on and on about that building, is that transportation is always a concern and it's always, let me not say always, it is often a barrier to students taking the opportunity to access some of the programs that we offer here in the city. And once again, that building sits in a beautiful location next to UDC in the elbow space of, if you will, of embassies, and it's also right on the red line. So I'm not sure what the city has planned, but I believe it's a beautiful space that we should be looking towards acquiring for our students. The space is massive, and there's so many opportunities that we can see implemented in that building. And so I just wanted to share that we had that opportunity to see that space. Again, it's in Representative Goulet's ward. His council member Fruman was gracious to take us through. And if there is an opportunity for other members to tour the building, I think that you will be amazed as soon as you cross the threshold. Please.
Well, I mean, I want to just echo and second everything you just said on that, Representative Colson. I appreciate you were able to get this moving again. You know, I think Councilmember Fruman and I, had made a push on it. It kind of stagnated, and you got us out there on the tour of this amazing space. Uh, After that tour, I had the good fortune to be able to testify on this before council, both with Councilmember Mendelson and then Councilmember Lewis George, because they have DGS and DCPS. And I ran into somebody from UDC there, Warner Session, who he may be the trustee of the board or the chair of the board, or at least a board member of UDC. And he's excited to get the space too. UDC wants the space to do like workforce development with the city. And so we just got to make it happen. And the good thing is they said that if we were able to set up another tour, like he would try to get members of the board of trustees to be on the tour with us. So like we could get, council members, state board members, and then perhaps like trustees of UDC to all check out the space. And there's just so many great things for it. I mean, what I would love to see based on everything you said is to see it be a workforce development career hub for students across our city to be able to come to, which I think is just going to really take our state university to the next level. It's just so exciting. And I just thank you for your leadership in getting this moving again. So, I'd love the committee to take it on. I think it's game changing.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Fletcher, I saw your hand up. Yes, please.
Yeah, I had one other quick question, not about this, so I just want to make sure if any other members wanted to react to that, to this topic.
I
If
don't see any, but we'll circle back to this again and again and again. But just want to put on everyone's radar that this is a project that Representative Goulet and I are looking to champion.
Great. I did, since we're all here, aside from Representative Dinkins, the day after the youth summit, so May 14th, are you all okay having our next C committee meeting a day later so that it's right after the summit? I just have to publicly notice it, and so tomorrow would be that 2 week notice.
Would you mind if I ran and got my planner really quick?
Sure. I'm sorry to ask you like last minute,
No, that's
but this
fine.
might be perfect timing since I have everyone here.
Yeah.
Good use of time, but unfortunately, I can't make the 14th unless we're going to bump it up in time. And that will have to be a significant bump up to maybe 4:30.
Is 4:30 okay with everyone else?
4:30 is good for me. It's actually better for me.
I can do 4:30.
Great.
Every
Repres
Thursday, I'm busy from, well, we know this, like 7 on.
I am starting a new job, and so I'm not sure what my schedule will consist of right now. And so I'll let you all know as soon as I do.
Okay. And congratulations again, Representative.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Shall I we would have quorum, I believe, if Representative Dinkins joins. Shall I go ahead and just schedule that? We would
Please.
need to keep it because we would need to cancel something 2 weeks before. So we would hold on that date, 4:30. But anything that Representative Best might miss if he isn't at the meeting, I can make sure to express that in the notes. But congrats, and yeah, I appreciate it.
All
Okay.
right. The time is 7:30. I think we made it through everything. I like that. Thank you all so much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, wonderful. Thank you all so much for a productive meeting. Have a good evening. We are adjourned at 7:30.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, ready.